Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm finally going to do the book recommendation tag. I've been seeing that around and it was created by Steph.
I'm gonna do it.
This is a good way for me to share some of my favorites, some books that I have never shared on this channel before. I'm excited to get started on the book recommendation tag.
I was editing the video and I noticed I never explained what the book recommendation tag was. It is essentially 15 questions and I will be recommending books for each question. It's my first time participating in the tag and I jumbled mess up here, but that's exactly what I will be doing. Let's get back to the video.
Before I get started on talking about the books, I will also be trying out some snacks. So Treats reached out to me and they wanted to send me a box of snacks to try. Treats is a subscription service for international snacks. Each month they will send you snacks from a different country and it's just a way for you to try international snacks. What I'm going to do is I will be recommending books as well as trying out these snacks at the same time. If you are interested in trying out these snacks, you can go to my description box, click the link. You can use the code KW to get 15% off your first box. So let me open this box and we can get started. Here it is. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I had it upside down, but here it is. Oh my, wow. This is a box of Taiwan snacks. They give you a postcard of the country, information's on the back.
Ooh, I'm really excited. I'm just looking at this next right now.
This sheet tells you what's inside the box. When I'm opening the snacks, I will also just let you know which ones I'm trying. I've actually recognized a few of these, some that I haven't had in years. I'm really excited to try the new ones and also reminisce the old snacks that I ate growing up. It's packed. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to get started. I'm gonna try the nutrition biscuits right now. Once I try one, I will get to my book recommendation. One piece. It looks like a golden brown marshmallow. I'm definitely had this when I was younger. I'm gonna get started with the tag. One thing I do want to say is like I try not to repeat books because I want to get as much out there, but there will be some instances where some books repeat. First question, a book you tell people is your favorite. Now I don't go around telling people what my favorite book is because I don't know a lot of people personally who read books except for Vivian. My favorite is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This book has my whole heart. It's a college sports hockey romance. It follows Garrett and Hannah. They will always be that couple for me. This is the first book of the off-campus series. It really just kickstarted my whole reading spicy romance journey. Need another bite. This is very easy to get addicted to. It's not too sweet. Anyway, back to The Deals. This had a good shift from I don't like this guy to being friends, and then you get them as lovers and it's just like so good. This is the book that I tell people is my favorite. A lot of the books that I will be mentioning in this video count as my favorites unless I say otherwise. The second question is a book that is your guilty pleasure. I had a hard time trying to find books that I would say is my guilty pleasure. If we're speaking truthfully, every book that is a spicy romance is my guilty pleasure. I have two books in this. First one is the Contract series by Melanie Moreland. I absolutely love this series with my whole heart. I've reread this series twice. I would borrow this on Kindle Unlimited and read it. So this is the Contract series. It is a billionaire romance. It's a workplace romance. It's also marriage of convenience. This is another one where you get to see the male lead change because of the female lead. And I just love the universe that this series is in because I've read books in the other series. You get to see these characters make cameos and appearances and I just love that so much. So yeah, this is also a found family trope. See, I don't understand how this would be a guilty pleasure, but I just put it here. I also put The Hookup by Kristen Callahan, which is the first book of the Game On series. This would be a guilty pleasure because there's a scene in this book specifically that I would pick up just to read that scene over and over again. I just love good groveling and oh my gosh, the regrets in the characters' eyes when they do something wrong. I eat that up. I'm hurting, but I also love when that happens. Yeah, I put these two as my guilty pleasure. Now we're gonna move on to the second snack, which is also a guilty pleasure snack, I'm not gonna lie. This one is Sashima by HFC. This is a traditional flour cake snack. I've never eaten one that looked like this color wise, but I've had this a lot growing up. I want to try this. This is like a very sugary snack though. Wait a minute, what is the flavor? I want to say raisin, but it's not raisin. The reason why I love this snack growing up is because of the chewiness and the sweetness, but as I got older I don't really like the really sweet kinds. So this one is very interesting because it's not too sweet, but it has that sugary factor. Actually not bad. I would take another bite of this, but it really sticks to my teeth and I'm trying to make a video here. Let me just go back to the first snack that I had. Next question is a book that everyone loved but you didn't. This one I have 3 books to answer with. I wouldn't necessarily say I don't like this book, but it's not a book that I loved, and I've seen people saying how much they love this series, and this is Stay With Me by Nicole Fiorina. I was going to read this whole series, but I only read the first book as of right now. Okay, from my memory, this one follows a girl who is a troublemaker, and it's actually a pretty dark book with trigger warnings. Yes, before you read any of the books, make sure to check out trigger warnings first. Back to the book. The stepmother of the female lead is sick and tired of her antics, and she tells her, I've had enough of what you're doing. Either you attend a reform school or you're going to prison. She obviously picks the reform school. It's in the school where the book really begins. I personally liked it at times, and then other times I don't know if I want to continue reading this series. The headspace when I was reading Stay With Me, everything just felt very gray and black. I don't know how to explain it, but that's how I felt. And if I were to go back into this, then I just need to like mentally prepare myself again. Second book is Requiem by Victoria Aveyard. I bought the entire series to this book on Kindle. Like, why was I in such a hurry to do that? I don't understand. Right now it's too late for me to return because when I bought it I didn't read it right away, so it's already been a while. It's already too late for me to return that book. I know there are a lot of people who like this book, and I've seen it on BookTok multiple times, but when I read this, it was 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago when I read this book, and I was really into the I don't remember the character name, so I'm always going to refer to them as female character, male character. Female character was really interesting to me when I read the synopsis. I love it when the female lead is different and she's unique. Everyone wants a piece of her. That sounds so wrong, but everyone is just really intrigued by her, and they either see her as an ally or a threat, that kind of situation. Well, I was really interested in this series because of that. It's just when I started to read Requiem, I don't know what happened, but my interest and my patience with this book just went to a whole new level of, let me tell you this, and it might explain why I feel a certain way, but I was spoiled to this book before I even bought it. I didn't really care because at the end of the day, I know who the female lead is going to end up with, and I mentally prepare myself. I don't know what happened, but I was just so annoyed and irked. It just wasn't giving what I wanted. So by the time I finished Requiem, I was not eager to pick up the second book. It's been over a year or 2 years, and I still don't have the urge to pick up the second book. I'm just regretting the fact that I bought the entire series without reading the first book. That's just a lesson that I learned, but I don't follow it. The third book that I picked is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. The only good thing about this book that I remember was Aaron Blackford, and that was it. Everything else I was just really annoyed with. I have this as 4 stars, and it's 4 stars because Aaron Blackford deserves that. I don't think I'm ever going to reread this. If you want to know what this book is about, it's about Catalina, who needs a date to her sister's wedding because her ex-boyfriend is also going to be in that wedding because his brother is the groom. So she needs a date, and her co-worker Aaron Blackford says, I'll be your partner if you be my partner for something else. Anything else that happens in this book I don't really remember. Next question is a book I read the fastest. Before I do that, what's the next snack on the list? Hall Flakes by Sanka. This is my entire childhood. Actually, I feel like I'm exaggerating that. Every Asian grandma, I feel, had this. See this so much, but I never remember what these were called. Hawthorn has antioxidants with numerous positive health effects, including for the heart. I should have eaten this before I answered question number 3. The book I read the fastest. I only picked 2 for this category. Both of these are Kindle Unlimited books. The first one I said was Rhapsodic, and it's part of the Bargainer series by Laura Thalassa. There are 3 books in this series, and I read the entire series in 5 days. If I was outside, I would be reading this book. If I was at home, I was reading this. If I was in the bathroom, I was reading this book. It just kept me on my toes. And I loved every minute of this one. All I remember is that we have a female lead who is bound to the Bargainer because of a deal she made with him. There was something with the bracelet, something about the bracelet tying her to the Bargainer and her being able to call him whenever. This is a romance novel, but it's also kind of dark. Is it dark? I don't think it's dark. It's a fantasy book. There's another series in this that I said I read the fastest. Before I introduce the second book, I've been eyeing this snack. I don't know what it is, but this is potato twist and it's rose salt flavor. Gosh. Oh my gosh, me and chips. This is why I am breaking out. This one reminds me of the shrimp chips, the crunchiness, the color, some of the taste. I will definitely be snacking on that. So funny because I would never pick something up like this. Looking at the packaging of this, it screams, I am so sweet, I will be sugary, but it's not. It's rose salt. The second series I read really fast was the Kane series by Shonora Williams. This is a dad's best friend age gap 3-book series. I think I read this, the entire series, in the span of 3 days. I think the video would just take too long if I give a summary for each book. Not that I remember clearly enough to give a summary. But Mr. Kane, like I said, is an age gap dad's best friend. This was done so well. It had such good angst. I know it's not everyone's thing, but if you do want to give it a shot, then I really do recommend Kane series. The next snack I want to try is the hand tear bread by Wei Mei Shin. It's a light and sweet bread which is soft in texture and can be teared by hand. Ooh, this is soft. Okay, now I want to tear it up. I think taste wise I probably had this. Wait, stop talking. This actually tastes like bread you buy from a bakery. That's amazing. The preservatives in this probably was peaking. Look how fluffy it looks. I think I'll give this like a 6 out of 10 because I was not expecting something so fluffy and soft from a bread packaged in that. A book that deserves more hype. I feel like a lot of good books deserve more hype, but I think each book will get its time. I picked The Learning Hours by Sarah Ney. This is the 3rd book in the How to Date a Douchebag series. I read this I think 2 years ago, and once in a while I find myself thinking about this book. Why, you ask? Because this is a sports romance, but I feel like a lot of sports romance you always get the popular guy and everyone just wants a shot with the popular guys who play sports, and they're all the male lead in this book. He doesn't have the best looks. This is something I remember. The first chapter, or the first POV, it wasn't the male lead or the female lead, it was a character from the previous books in the series. They were describing the male lead as someone who's, quote, ugly. I was kind of shocked that that was how the book started. I was even more like, okay, I need to see what this book is about. And it just became one of those books where I'm thinking about it 1 a.m. in the morning for some reason. Something about this book makes me really soft and keeps me up at night. We have a female lead. She's one of those popular girls or attractive people that guys want to get with, but the female lead is attracted to the male lead, and the male lead feels inferior, he is not worth it. And it was a really good read. It was good pacing. I really liked it. The reason why I put this as a book that deserves more hype is just, if you just want a recommendation where the girl is more popular than the guy, then this might be the book for you. I have a series I also put in here. It's these three. It's the Frostblood series by Ellie Blake. Frostblood, Fireblood, and Nightblood. This entire series can be answers to a lot of the other questions, but I decided to put it here because I just don't think a lot of people are talking about the series enough. This is a young adult fantasy series where we follow Ruby and Arcus. This is something that I read back then, and a book that if I never read it, I would read now. This series needs more hype, especially because a lot of fantasy books are being popularized now. So I think these three books deserve just as much. It's not spicy, but it has very good, heartfelt, intimate moments where romance is not lacking whatsoever. So I hope this series gets the hype it deserves because it gives action, romance, enemies to lovers. It's packing. Low-key, I've been snacking on these roast salt chips. What is roast salt? I don't know, but I like it. Number 6, a book that is becoming a movie or a TV show. The only ones that I know that I've read that is becoming a movie or a TV show is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I know that Inheritance Games is going to become a TV show. I haven't read that book, but I do want to watch that show if it ever comes out. I guess that's also another book that I would say in this one. Is The Love Hypothesis becoming? If The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood is also becoming a movie or a TV show, I would watch that too. I just like sped through that category. Let's just open another snack before we move on. Krispy Kremes by Chung Gang. Did I say crepes? I meant crepes. Crispy crepes with ginger filling. From the get-go, I already don't have interest. I would never buy this, even though ginger is healthy. I would never buy this myself, but I'm willing to try it right now. Okay, yes, it is ginger. I think I'll save this for my mom and dad. It's not bad, but they like ginger, so I'll just give that to them. Number 7 is a book that I reread the most. The most that I reread is 3 times for 2 books. The UFJ series by Ali Siz and The Deal by Elle Kennedy. So I reread each of these 3 times. I plan on doing that as like an annual tradition. If I were to reread these books this year, it would be my 4th time reading it. I already talked about The Deal, but this is another college sports romance. I love this series so much because it's a found family. It follows Kayla and Mason, their love story, their like ups and downs. It's really not as deep as that, but I just love the drama that happens in this. Number 8 is a book from a genre I don't typically read. I was going to leave this completely blank because you can tell that the only books I do read are romance books. I went with Girl Left Behind by C.J. Cross, and this is the first book of the Dana Gray mystery. So this is a mystery book. It's a very easy mystery book. It's not horror, so it's very simple to read, and if you love the TV show Bones, you will find a lot of similarities to this book. Number 9 brings us to a book that deserves all the hype. The first is a series that I saw last year was blowing up, and it is the Mine F series by S.T. Abbey. You have to check the trigger warnings before picking up this series because it is pretty dark and gruesome, but I don't mind it, and I even welcome it because this is one of the most perfect revenge stories ever. I love that the series is just, you know, blowing up and it's having its moment to shine. Another book that I noticed was getting a lot of hype is Consider Me by Becca Mack. This one is a hockey romance that I reread recently. I mentioned this book on my channel before. I still stand by it, and I say this is one of my favorite books of all time. I remember I said that it was really cheesy, but rereading it, it wasn't as cheesy. So I don't know what I was saying. I think a lot of the gestures in this book was very sweet, and I love the friend group in this as well. I love how Carter and Olivia interact. I love how he changes and becomes this person. It was always in him. I'm really happy that a lot of people are reading this and falling in love with Carter, but Carter is my husband. Well, he is Ollie's husband, but he's my husband as well. So this is addicting. Number 10 is a book that I usually recommend when asked for recommendations. No one asks me for recommendations except for Vivian, but I planned a few in case. I picked Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren as a book that I would recommend if you want romance. Honestly, I could pick a whole bunch of books to recommend, but I think this is a good start. This is a second chance romance, so yeah, what a way to bring you into this whole genre. This book did things to me. The next book I have is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I would recommend this book to people who want to get into mystery, and this is a really good and easy way to dive into that genre. I think this was a good introduction for me to get back into this zone. Characters are very lovable. This also has some slight romance, but it's not too heavily focused on. I plan on reading more in the series. The last book I have here is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I would recommend this book to people who are interested in rom-coms and friends to lovers. All of the books that I recommended so far, these three, are books that I read in under 24 hours. I picked these books with that in mind. I don't want people to be bored while reading this. Yeah, I have these three books, very easy, light books to read. Number 11, a book that has my favorite characters. Honestly, I've already said a lot of books that have my favorite characters, but if you want to recap, it's just basically every book that I've reread. But I want to pick one that I haven't recommended in this video yet, and it is the Trinity Academy series by Michelle Hurd. I say this series, but I also mean the Air series. There's also another series, I'm gonna put it right here, like the first book to that series. So all of these, they take place in the same universe. These two are the parents for the kids in this series. I still need to finish the Heirs. I have 3 more books in that series that I need to complete, but other than that, I would have finished the entire universe. I mean, I wouldn't read an entire series if I didn't love the characters, and I love the transition from seeing characters who were once in school becoming parents. It's like they grew up in front of my eyes in a matter of days. It's kind of like a bully romance, but it's really, like, I put that lightly. It's not actually bully romance. It's the kids, they're all childhood friends, but for the parents, it's a little bit darker. Also, these people are rich and they have money. Yeah, we're talking about that kind of world. The next question, a book I wish I could live in. Immediately when I heard this question, I did think of where would I feel the most comfortable in, and I picked U of J, Playing for Keeps series, and the Windy City series. Just basically anything by Liz Tomford. All her books take place in the same series. I wouldn't mind living in any of these, only because I just want a comfortable bunch of people to be around. It's a found family, and it's just a group of people who I know are protective of each other and they love each other. I would feel very welcomed, is what I was thinking. Number 13, a book that I thought I would hate but I ended up loving. I would have left this category empty because I don't read books that I think I'm gonna hate. But then I thought, this book can fall under this category, and I said The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. So if you watch my reading log for this, I said that I picked this book up multiple times and put it down because something was just not clicking. So I really thought I was not going to like this book, but for the sake of giving this a fair shot, I picked it up for the last time and I loved it. So I have this as 5 stars. To put it simply, this book is about 3 women who were stood up on Valentine's Day by the same guy. Actually kind of confusing to explain this book, so that's how I'm going to word it. So I'm gonna take a break because I have only 2 more questions left. So the next one's, oh, is a Soccer Jelly by Dragonfly. These are the 2 that I got. I don't even know how to open this. Apparently I'm supposed to bite into it and eat it. Oh my gosh, it's gonna burst. This is just jelly, but in an interesting shape. I didn't know this was like a Taiwan snack. That was so unattractive. I'm so sorry. I have 1 more left of the Haw Flakes. I'm just gonna eat that. If you want to try out any of the snacks, go to my description box and click the link. Remember to put in the code KW, KAYW to get 15% off your first box. I have 2 more snacks left. I have a marron pie. This is a mini pie that has chestnut filling. Really? First thing first, it's very soft. So I thought it was gonna be crunchy, but it's not. I don't know if I'm tasting the chestnut at all. The filling is not a liquid filling. It has the same texture as the bread on the outside. Second to last question is books that made me cry. I have 4 books in here. I've been crying reading books that are not even sad. Earlier I mentioned that I reread Consider Me by Megan Mac. I know it's not a sad book, but I was crying at the happy moments. Christina Lauren, Love in Other Words. This is a book that I cried in. You can see that in my reading vlog for this one. I'm not gonna go in depth about why I cried in these books because that would be heading into spoiler territory. Just know these are the books that made me cry. I also cried when reading Ruthless People by J.J. McEvoy. This is a mafia romance. Features a strong female lead. There's something that happens in the series that made me cry, but I just wanted to get this book out there because I don't think enough people are talking about it anyway. So here's another series. It's also Arranged Marriage. Another Kindle Unlimited book that made me cry that I read recently is The Finisher by Runix. I totally binged the Dark Verse series. I am left wanting the final book. I will be patient. When she comes out with the last book, I will be there. But this is a book that made me cry. I'm not gonna talk much about it. I feel like this one is one of the more underrated books in this series. So Alpha and Sapphire deserve the love. You have to check out the trigger warnings before getting into this series. The author has like a list of trigger warnings before each book. Make sure to read that before jumping in. Last book I have in this category that made me cry is The Takeover by T.L. Swan. This is the 2nd book of the Miles High Club. I was gasping for air reading this one. I will also say this is a billionaire's romance. Single mom, all of that. These are the 4 books that made me cry. There's a lot more, but this video would never end if I list all of them. The last question of this recommendation tag, and also the last snack. Okay, well, the last snack in here is the Niigata Jikomi Nori Shio by Sanko. This is a lightly grilled senbei rice cracker, which is rich in green flavor in the mouth, finished with a mellow salty taste that brings out the flavor of kelp and bonito. This is one of the ones I was really looking forward to. Oh my god. I'm realizing I'm liking a lot of these salty snacks rather than the sweet ones. I think I'm gonna give this like a 7 to 8 out of 10 because while the flavor is there, the rice cracker, the crunch is not the best. They gave me double of certain snacks. They gave me strawberry. I also have another one of this, and I have the chestnut filling marron pie and the Hall Flakes. That was it for the treats box. Thank you to Treats for sending me this. I enjoyed trying out some of the snacks, revisiting my childhood, but also tasting new ones. And now that I finished trying all of the snacks, I'm gonna get to the last question of the recommendation tag. A book I wish I could read for the first time. I picked 3 for this. A lot of books I wish I could reread for the first time, but these top the list. So the first one I said is the Grip trilogy. I want to go through the heartbreak, the yearn, and feel the emptiness after I finish. This is one of the best books, but I also know that it wouldn't hit the same if I read it for the second time. Even though I know it's going to be just as good, it just wouldn't hit the same. This follows Grip and Bristol. This takes place in like the music industry. This is also the first book that I read of Kennedy Ryan's. I love that this book was the introduction to one of my favorite authors. This is one. The second book I said I wish I could reread for the first time is the Rashedi Dynasty series by Bree Porter. This is a mafia romance. The reason why I said this is because I would give anything to reread this series to witness the growth of the female character. This is one of the best mafia romances I've ever read as well, and the scenes that happen in this book, it just feels like something that I wish I could read it again. I don't know how to explain it. I binged the Rashadi Dynasty in 3 days. This is the second series I wish I could read for the first time again. The last book that I picked for this category, and also the book to end this video, it is The Selection by Kiara Cass. I owe it to The Selection for being one of the first series that I read in quarantine to start this whole reading journey, to read this for the first time, to fall in love with these characters, to be annoyed with these characters, and then to learn to accept these characters. It's pretty much like The Bachelor, where there's one man and a whole bunch of women trying to win his heart. This one is a prince with all these candidates for the next queen. It was a journey. The feelings that I had reading this book the first time, it can't be recreated the second time. So this is a series I would say I want to read for the first time again. That was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this and got a lot of recommendations out of this video. Again, if you were interested in trying out these snacks, make sure to check my description box, click on the link, put in that code to get 15% off your first box. That's pretty much it for today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!